Aloha YouTubers, Teri Edmonds here, coming to you from my workshop, If the Shoe Fits in Maui, Hawaii. This is going to be kind of a short video for you all today, but this is what to do if you have a favorite pair of boots that you've lost the rubber sole. These rubber soles are notorious for cracking after they age, they get old and break and all of that, come unglued. Sometimes they're hard to glue back together again. So I have a client who is rushing off to Australia, and this is her favorite boot. It came with this sole, and I'm gonna re-sole it for her in something that's durable, that will be comfortable, and will do the trick for her travels. I think she's gonna be gone for a month, so a lot of wear on this boot. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you. As of right now, I have taken off the old sole. I'm saving it so I can see how high we want the heel to be. And my very first layer is going to be this orthopedic crepe. It comes in big sheets. I think if you were to order it yourself, you probably would pay about I don't know, I'm gonna guess 50 to 100 bucks for it. So anyway, I'm gonna use some light crepe. You guys have seen me use it before. And then I'm gonna use this awesome sole that Vibram has put out. It's called the Zigama. It has this great tread. I have resoled my tennis shoes in them that I hike in, and they're super grippy, very, very durable. They do have a slip resistance to them, and they're hard to get your hands on because I understand that the military really likes them and they're using them a lot on some of the Danner boots. So anyway, I'm just gonna show you, I'm gonna do a video quick showing you how I do it. It'll all be sped up. This is a rush job, so nothing fancy here. And I just thought I'd kind of give you a shot of my workshop. I love being in here and I love working here. And so I appreciate you guys following me on YouTube. It's so awesome. So feel free to leave a comment. Remember to subscribe if you like the video and leave any suggestions of things I can show you. Let's get started. I've just cut away all the excess of this it's a 1/4 inch layer of crepe. And now I want to build the heel up first before I put the Zigama sole on it. And this is, if I measure it, we're looking at, let's see, about an inch and a quarter. And a 1/4 inch is going to be part of this Zigama. So I'm going to do 1 full inch of this crepe to build up the heel so that it sets with the right angle. See, the shoe is shaped like that. So we're going to build this up here. And I am using this crepe as well. It comes in just in 1/2 inch and 1 inch. And so I'm gonna go ahead and use this because this is a little bit thicker than the usual cloud crepe, which is the first layer that I put on. So here we go. So I'm getting ready to cut this, and I think it's important for you, if you're trying to replicate this, is you wanna look at where the angle of this heel comes. You know, you really wanna make it sit the same way as it did when it had the original sole on it. So I am going to build it to right about here, which makes sense because that's right about where that angle drops off. So that's what I'm lining up there. And I'm going to go ahead, I'll put this on top and make sure that it's even or straight on the bottom there. That looks about right. Go ahead and draw my line there. I'm also going to trace it on this outside of the pattern. Get my pattern, and I'm going to cut it using my razor knife. And as I have said before, I like to change out my razor knife so that they're nice and sharp. And of course, I use gloves. One trick when people are cutting crepe, or when you're cutting a sole, whenever I'm using my razor knife, I'm always facing my knife this way, never towards me, but sideways. So like that. And this I'm gonna go ahead and maneuver a little bit with both hands, so I have to put the camera down. So I have my pattern trimmed, I've got my lines marked, I've got this cut, and now I'm gonna go ahead and glue. I have done a video how to glue shoes, and that tells you how I get the consistency of my contact cement. So there we go, like that. And we'll do the next one. Like that. Very nice. And it's okay if I get glue on there. I got a little over, but it doesn't matter because ultimately this is gonna go on top of this. So I'm still gonna need glue there. And I can see my line through the glue. So do that. I'm gonna glue both sides of the material. And the best way to glue is to do swipe to the side, swipe down. That's how you get the extra coverage of glue. Voila. Do the other part. And I'll do some overhead shots for you here in the future. I'm just working on my new studio, so I don't have quite the right camera angles, but I will eventually get that for you guys so you can see a little better. All right, so I'm gonna let that cure for a few minutes. Before I put them together, I'll put them on the sander, sand it down. I'll show you that. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. So I can tell by using the old sole where the heel's gonna go. I'm gonna place it because I wanna use this pattern, right? So I'm gonna line it up like that. And ultimately, I'm gonna cut this in half because this part has to fit right here. So I'm gonna draw my line. There and there. This boot, the old boot pattern, has this dip right here. We're not gonna replicate that. We're just gonna make it straight across, so it keeps it simple. So I've got my line on here, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'll cut it using my razor knife. Razor knives are great for everything. Okay, there we go. I've cut these pieces apart, and I'm gonna go ahead and sand them just to get the surfaces nice and clean and roughed up. This got a little bit of dust on it, so when you get them, you wanna, do that. And then I'll go ahead and this part here that is going to tuck in here, right? So this is your new piece, like that. That's where it's gonna go. So I'm gonna go ahead and just make sure that this is a nice straight line so it'll fit right up there. I'll give you a close-up of that when it's finished. Okay, so I'm trying for a little better camera angle here for you guys. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply the 1/2 inch. Line it right on up there. That's good. I can feel it with my fingers that it's covering the back side there. And I'll hammer it. There we go. Very nice. And I'm gonna go ahead and apply the glue because I cut another piece. I'm doing a full inch, if you recall. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue that so it can dry. Opposite direction, get a nice grip on that. Glue the crepe as well. Do the second shoe. Crepe dries really quickly, so I put it under the fan, and that way I can really get this rush job done. Got it lined up. I can feel the back. I can tell that. Oops! Hold on. Okay, let's try that again. That tells me my glue might be a little dry. There we go. and I like to have room to spare so I can trim it up and it doesn't have any gouges in it. So go ahead and glue that. Very nice. I'm going to set those under the fan and let them dry again quickly, and then I'll come back with the next step. I've assembled the parts. They're all glued. I've got 2 1/2 inch, which makes 1 inch for me, which is what I'm doing here. This was the old sole. And one of the things about putting on a sole, a heel, is if I just did straight 1/2 inch, see how this angle is facing down? That's because it needs to be sanded a bit. I'm gonna sand this to right about midway and then bring my line out, trim this off, and it'll actually lie flush. So I'll measure it once I'm finished. I'll measure it on here and it'll sit just right because you want this heel to lie nice and flush onto the surface. So see how this one is. This does the same thing. It's thicker in the back, skinnier up in the front here. So I'll go ahead and give you a close-up of the sanding. So I've applied the 1/2 sole and the heel. I cut that sole and then, put it on this way like I told you I would do. I'm gonna go ahead now and take my razor knife, trim off the excess, and then I'll go ahead and put it on the sander and sand it nice and smooth. One of the things I like to point out is when I'm doing a full sole like this, when the sole was off of the shoe, I went ahead and dyed it because this boot was really beaten up. So I dyed it before I put the sole on. It just makes it a little bit easier. And then once I'm done trimming this and sanding it nicely, I will go ahead and do a luxury shine, which will be the Money's Worth Black cream polish and then the Lincoln stain wax. And this boot will be ready to go. I've done the first phase of sanding. Once I'm all done, I'm going to go through, trim off these little pieces that are, this little stuff here. And I'm also going to use the numb keg. I'll do that right now. It's a lighter grit sandpaper. I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the sanding and the finish sanding. I will say this, that try to do this at home. This material, this final material, is pretty tough. So if you don't have a sanding wheel at home, you might want to cut it really close and take your time with the razor knife so you get it as close as possible. Then, here I've got this heavy duty grinder, as you can see. So anyway, I'm going to keep going. Here we are with the finished boot. I just finished polishing up this nice edge, got a nice clean line here. We've got the heel nicely elevated for her, so it's got the right angle. And I did a nice luxury shine on it. So the conditioner, the cream polish adds a condition to the, look at my nails. This is such a dirty job. Oh my gosh. That's why I wear those gloves, you guys. And you see how beaten up they are. But anyway, I love it. So here we go. Beautiful boot, all finished, ready to go. You can do this with so many different shoes. I've done it on a dress shoe. I've done them on sneakers. I've done them on Air Jordan. So if you're looking to resole your shoe, you could do some of this from home. All these tips, I had the big sander, but if you use a good grit of paper and trim it real slim, a nice profile, you can do it to yourself at home. And ask me questions. I get questions all the time, and I try to respond as quickly as possible. So I thank you guys for supporting me. I love having a YouTube channel, and I love having you out there watching. So Teri Edmonds coming to you once again from my shoe store, If the Shoe Fits, and my workshop. Aloha.